Welcome to Meeple, uniting players around the world. A 30-minute exploration of PJ and Gareth's board game experiences from across both sides of the Atlantic. Each episode, they share their thoughts and opinions on the world of board games, including their favourite themes, games, hot topics, and much, much more.
Welcome to episode 36, Board Games in Focus. I'm PJ.
I'm Gareth.
And Gareth, how are you?
I'm okay.
You know,
good.
We've had so many guests lately. You and I haven't had a chance to chat.
No. And I thought we should talk about some of the amazing games that we've been playing.
And I hear you've been playing some great things.
Oh, yeah. I've been playing quite a bit recently. I've been I'm trying to think of my list. I think I want to talk about Darwin's Journey because that's hit the table about 3 times in a week.
And I want to hear about Darwin's Journey, so this is great.
So, yeah, I'll probably do that as my main feature. So anyone's interested in that, stay around. But other things, we finally got Galileo project to the table.
Oh, yeah.
Which I won in a competition, like a Facebook raffle, maybe like 5-6 weeks ago. Maybe,
I remember that.
Maybe longer. And that follows on in I can't remember the artist's name, terrible, but it's all the same. It's based on Ganymede and the planets and Starting Earth. It's the third one that we're playing. So that's a card drafting kind of action manipulation game, building robots to do stuff. That's really cool. Yeah,
I've seen some pictures you posted on Instagram.
It looks pretty.
It looks
cool.
Yeah,
I haven't quite sussed it. I haven't sussed the kind of mechanic of which cards to invest in because the different robots do different things and you can power them all up. The more you get, the better you do. But there's 4 planets, there's 4 dials to adjust. And I haven't quite sussed that I'm not playing optimum. I'm not scoring high, which means I haven't quite worked it out. But I have been enjoying that. Another game that we've been playing a lot of is Pursuit of Happiness.
Oh,
have you played it?
Yeah.
It's like the Game of Life, but if anyone remembers that from the 1980s.
Oh yeah.
It's a board gamers version of that where you start as a teenager, you play through adulthood until unfortunately your old age will catch up on you. And it's worker placement. You go and get jobs, partners or not. Hobbies.
You balance like your health and your happiness and things like that, right?
Yeah, if you're going to have like 2 partners and 4 jobs, stress will get you.
Yes.
If you can do 3 projects, I think, until life becomes a bit stressful. But at the end, when you do pass over and the game ends, the best bit is reading through all the things you did in life. The last game we played, I think I was an aircraft pilot. I had kids. The job was giving me stress every round because I was reasonably senior, and there was a partner, and then I think I had the board game collection, amazingly, and a miniature collection, the whole room of both, which was reasonably expensive. Which I agree with. So yeah, that's a great game. And originally playing it because the big box it finally got delivered on Kickstarter.
Oh, okay.
So we've been it's just so fast to play, particularly 2-player. What about you? Before I talk about what games have been hitting your table?
We've had quite a few this past week. Recently joined the ranks of Everdell and Quacks. That's right. I did not own either game until this week. Thanks to the Titan Games used game sale that we talked about a few weeks ago. Yeah.
Successful?
We were very, it was successful for both the game store and for us. So we knocked out Everdell. I don't really need to talk about Everdell. Everyone knows about Everdell.
But you haven't played it. So now you've played it. It's a thumbs up, thumbs down.
Oh no, it's definitely thumbs up. That is a solid game. Katie was worried that it was going to be too similar to Creature Comforts, just because it's cute woodland creatures, it's worker placement, but in fact, it's different enough that it's so good. The artwork is amazing, the gameplay, the tableau building is fantastic. I really enjoy that in front of you. That's really cool.
Yeah,
and the mechanic of you progressively get more workers as the game goes on. So you don't have to like go to a specific location to get a new worker. It just happens. So you
I just love the way you start with nothing and you think this is going to be so hard.
Yep.
And it all just starts to work as an engine.
Exactly.
It's a beauty.
Then we played Quacks, and I'm like, why have I not played Quacks before? That game is awesome. Oh my goodness. I love Quacks of Quedlinburg. I cannot wait for more expansions. I love it. So it's beautiful. You played Quacks, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't know this, and I'm upset that you didn't tell me this before. The player mat in front of you is a big gumbo pot, and you got a stir coming out of it. So I feel like
I hadn't connected a witch's cauldron with a gumbo pot.
I mean, it's a big old pot, y'all.
Yeah.
And it's like you just stirring your ingredients. Granted, they're called potions, whatever. But hey, I love it. No, it was great.
Sounds like there's a retheme you could do. You could do a retheme.
Could.
Cajun's gumbo pot of Springfield.
Oh, yeah. Cajuns of Springfield.
That's it. Cajuns of Springfield. Right.
I think there might be just 3 of us. So
yeah, it's okay. You can just do like a print and play. We'd all pretend that we are cooking food.
So that game was a hit. We really enjoyed it, and we're looking forward to it hitting the table more. However, though, the one I'm really excited to tell you about, and this goes back to our episode with Board Game Fanatic, Diz. We talked about ISS Vanguard.
See, I hadn't heard much about this game until you guys were speaking about it. So I have looked it up.
It is permanently on our table and has been for like 3.5
not put away
weeks.
At all.
No, I'm staring at
that's pretty rare.
We do not take it off the table. The board game table in the basement is permanently ISS Vanguard. In fact, Katie has not finished painting miniatures for Frosthaven because she's like, every night you want to play ISS Vanguard. I'm like, we got to.
So okay, you've got me intrigued. So so I did a little bit of research, and I think it's a kind of campaign-driven.
It is
story narrative.
It's very narrative-driven. There is a beautiful app. It's not app-driven. What they did was they took this logbook and they put an app. It's like an app that just reads everything for you, and it checks the boxes as you progress.
A little bit like the Frankenstein game.
A little bit.
My Father's Work.
A little bit.
Okay.
But you can play without the app.
Right. Okay.
Because you have a book.
Yeah.
And you can just read from it if you want to.
Yeah.
So it's not app driven, right? Oh my God. Where do I begin? It's so good. So I was worried because the way the game plays, you have 3 main, I guess you can call them phases. The first one is ship management. So you have a 3-ring binder, and you're spending time like putting research project cards in these sleeves. There's sheets of sleeves. You recruit workers from the crew to your 4 sections: science, security, engineering, and scouting, recon. So you're never playing, even though you have these beautiful miniatures, you don't actually play a single character. You're representing the section head of one of these 4 sections.
Is it like 2 of those each, or between the 2 of you?
With 2 players, we each run 2. So I have science and security, right? So I have 5 cards in front of me.
Yeah.
And these represent crew members from the security section. It's really cool because they start off at like rank 1. There's 3 ranks. So they have this sleeve. And it indicates their rank and their section on there. So
and the cards go into the sleeves.
Yeah. So you take the card. You're like, okay, I'm going to recruit this guy.
Yeah.
And he brings his little asymmetrical ability with him. I slide him into the sleeve. He is now officially a rank 1 member of this section, and that's true for all 4 sections.
Yeah.
And you play. And if they get promoted during a mission, they can go to rank 2. So you switch out the sleeve.
So new sleeve.
Go to rank 3. Yeah. So ship management, you're managing this. You're not playing a game so much as you're just managing a 3-ring binder and your cards, right? It's just,
and is there an overarching story that you're playing through?
Yes.
And then these are missions?
Yes. So that's the first part. The second part is the lander phase. You have a lander mat, and you choose your team, right? And they have their dice. And you put them on the lander, and then they have equipment cards that you're going to bring with you to the planet. And then that's a whole thing too, because the stats of your lander will determine how well you navigate through the dangers of trying to get to the planet.
All right.
And then the third phase is the planetary exploration, which is a spiral notebook that you unfortunately I have all the cards and stuff placed on it. So you have it laid out open in front of you, and it's 2 pages, and that's the planet that you're exploring. So the book, like Jaws of the Lion, Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion, where the book is the mat that you're playing on, the same is true for planetary exploration.
And is it kind of like XCOM from a kind of theme perspective? Because that kind of, you have your ship, and then you've got your dudes.
A little bit.
I assume it's got miniatures, and does it?
Yes.
Like Fog of War kind of people reveal themselves?
So this miniature here is very generic. I mean, it's a beautiful miniature because it is Awakened Realms. This purple rubber base indicates that he's going to be, this is the science
head of science
person on the away team. And then each location has a special ability, and you're going to roll dice. And you're either looking for a specific icon. So like a shield.
Yeah.
This is a security die. But they all have this V, and that represents the Vanguard, which is a wild. So you want to roll those in case you need something. Or you just may need to roll 3 green dice, and it doesn't matter what you roll, so long as you avoid the dreaded accident represented by an exclamation point.
Sounds like a nightmare.
And you get discoveries. You bring that all back to your ship when you're done. So the idea is, on Earth, scientists uncovered this data that's buried in human DNA that's pointing you to these, what they call divine coordinates out in space. And they find a alien drive buried in Siberia somewhere, is right, nondescript. And so they build this big spaceship, the Vanguard, but they mount the alien drive in the front. So you have this cool miniature, right? So you have this miniature of the ISS Vanguard, and the miniature itself it's your typical gray resin mini, but on the front end is like this translucent blue plastic to represent the alien technology that you mounted onto it.
Well, can you mount more things onto it?
So I don't know.
Oh, because you don't know how far.
Because I haven't.
No spoilers here.
Yeah. And so the first mission, the ship finds a Dyson sphere, and then from there you're exploring planets and trying to track down who started all this.
And how long is the campaign? So you've been playing it for how long now? A week and a half?
We've been playing it for 3 weeks.
3 weeks?
Yeah. Now,
every day? No, you went away, though, didn't you?
Almost every day. There were a couple of days where we went out. And some days we come home from work and we just do the ship management, because that could take like an hour. We're moving all right, we want to research this project, and we want to research this project. We want to recruit these guys.
It does sound like an XCOM kind of, those kind of simulators where there's this whole bit on the ship where you're developing your crew and promoting them.
Yes.
Then you prepare and you land.
Yes, it's very cool.
I'm more intrigued now than I was before. Even more intrigued because I love that kind of turn. Yeah. Is it turn based once you're on the planet?
Yes.
So you move around, and then the enemy
each section, each character on the away team, because there's 4 of them, gets 2 actions, and you can't take the same action twice.
And once they're done, does the enemy move?
Yes. Sometimes the enemy moves on its own, and each threat has its own behavior. Sometimes you won't encounter threats, other times you will.
Is it soloable?
Yes.
Yeah, yes. I think
it's.
I am intrigued.
Right, because Carrie's not going to play, because this is outer space. You could play it solo, where you would play 2 characters in your away team.
Yeah.
I guess you could do 4, but that would be a lot. But,
it sounds like good. This is like high ranking in the PJ top 9 games of all time. Top 9 already, or
I think it's definitely in the top 10. It is the most intense gaming experience. Like, I'm physically, like, my emotions trigger a physical reaction when I play. Like, I'm like, so I go to work, and I'm at work, and I'm processing papers, doing whatever I'm told
work
to
stuff.
Do. Doing work stuff. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, if we do this research project, that would give us the Vindicator cannon, and that would help us do this other thing in case we, whatever. And then we get home, and I'm like, okay, Katie, we've got to do ship management at the minimum. And then we get there, and it's like, oh my God, there was one time we were doing ship management. And I thought it was just going to be, 30 minutes. Something happened. We got an alert on the ship, and then all of a sudden, crew members are hallucinating, and now we got to go fight this thing. And it's like, oh my God. And I'm like,
this is like is this the
sweating.
new obsession? I mean, this feels like this. What amazes me is that you were so primed for Frosthaven, and you were counting down the minis.
Yes.
And while you've only played it once, maybe
we played the very first scenario of Frosthaven this weekend. It was a training mission because one of our players had never played Gloomhaven, so we did scenario 0, which is very very training, and it's great, and I'm looking forward to that. But this is a different beast, and it caught me by surprise. And and if Diz is listening, thank you, because this is all her fault.
Has Diz back it?
She did.
Okay, we may be able to find.
I bought it at a store.
Yeah, you bought it at the store.
I don't have the miniatures expansion. I don't have, so all the threats are just standees. The equipment are standees. I don't have all the beautiful miniatures. Although Katie went online and she saw there's another campaign that's part of the whole Kickstarter. She late pledged it. She goes, "We need it," and I'm like, "We do." So
wow,
yeah, yes,
okay,
yeah.
Wow.
It's amazing. ISS Vanguard.
ISS Vanguard.
Find it at a store near you today.
And it's from. I assume there'll be more of this if it's Awaken Realms.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I love those guys. Awaken Realms, man. They just everything they make is just magic, right? I mean, because these are the guys who gave us Nemesis.
Yeah, I'm I was reading about the page.
And then there's the Nemesis Retaliation that's coming out, so we got that to look forward to. Yeah.
Right. If Diz is listening, I need to at least get a play into this and see what I think.
Well, that's your partner. That's who you play with. You and Sam. You hang out with them, and
we have got there's no ISS Vanguard this weekend. Weekend coming is Twilight Imperium.
Ooh, watch out for that. What is
PDS? The PDS. It's only been 3 months. The PDS has not forgotten. If anyone's listening, you need to go back to an older episode where we talked about Twilight Imperium and Diz.
And if you've never played Twilight Imperium, which I haven't, that is the planetary defense system, correct?
Correct. Which one of my fellow friends, friends, destroyed. So Darwin's Journey. So this is like not one of the longest Kickstarters I've waited for, but certainly up there with, I think it was due November 21, I'm going to say, roughly.
Wow.
And it arrived 2 weeks ago. Now, I had the Collector's Pledge, which is the Collector's Edition. There's the playmats, and there's loads of upgradey things that I added, like these lenses. All very nice, but you don't need them. I'd actually say, if anything, the mats I haven't been using because there's a lot of stuff on the board. And being of an older age, I find that the crispness of the actual game board is better than the slight fuzziness you get on playmats. Ooh. But they are very nicely made, all stitched and delightful. So Darwin's Journey is a worker placement game. We've had 3 plays in a week. And every time I've now played, I give another view of what I think about the game, because I've said on the first 2 teachers money's tight, but actually the more I've played it, the more I realise that money's not tight. It's just it's about how you manage things.
That is right.
I have yet to win. I have been pummeled. Now I blame that on the teach. Now I find that normally when I do teach games, I generally lose, because I'm trying to run the game for everybody and not really concentrating on myself. And I should continue to use that excuse until I win. But it is a beast of a teach. So I think it's been between 30 and 45 minutes on a teach, depending on whether I've got experienced gamers or not experienced gamers.
Right.
Reasonably weighted, 3.70. Time play actually is about an hour to 2 hours. That's pretty spot on, but it's the teach takes up time because there's just lots of stuff to think about. It's based on basically retracing Darwin's journey around the Galapagos Islands in a worker placement adventure, as so says the tag on Board Game Geek. You on your player board, you've got 4 workers. The workers are kind of customized with these seals, wax seals. So maybe blue seals or green seals or red seals, yellow seals. They will allow you to go to certain spaces. So maybe you're going to send your explorer around one of the Galapagos Islands. That requires, I think it's a green seal. So as long as the worker's got a green seal in the player board, it will take an action. Or there's blue seals for exploring the sea, and you're following HMS Beagle as it travels over 5 rounds. Or it might be sending correspondence, which is yellow seals home. And then there's actually going and doing research and getting more seals. So that's kind of the typical worker placement. As many players can go to those locations. They're not blocked, but the first person into one of those zones is free. Everybody else, including yourself on the second or third turn, has got to pay money. And that's when money becomes quite tight if you don't concentrate. There are these upgraded worker placement locations where they basically use like a lens where you're doing research. And that only one worker can go there, and they can be anything from 2 to 3 seals of the same color or a combination. And that's where you're trying to work optimally, get this worker to not only be able to use the core actions, but some of these more special spaces. And then you've got things like turn order action. As you travel around the islands and the sea, you discover specimens, you research those, and you can deliver them to the museum. And that's how you score points. And as you go around, you find Darwin's Theory of Evolution books. And at the end of the game, apart from the points you've scored by completing various objectives and things as the game goes on, there's like this collective score you get from the museum. So there's 4 different types: fauna, fossils, animals, and something else you've got to collect. 4 things. The more that's in the museum, the more the multiplier of this evolution score gets calculated.
Okay.
But then there's a multiplier that you've scored yourself. So maybe the museum is given 5 points, but I've got my book to be times 7. So I've got 28 points.
Wow. Okay.
Somebody else might have only got to 3. So 21 points. Whatever that is. No, 12 points. So you are trying to not necessarily always contribute to the museum because it might help everybody else and find other ways of scoring points. But it's a delightful game. I just love the way that the Beagle sails across. And if you fall behind the Beagle scores an objective point. If you're further back, you get negative points. So you get less points for the objective if you haven't kept up with it. So it is a lot of moving parts. We taught our friend on Friday. Me and Carrie played 2-player, and then we played another 3-player last night with the other Gareth. And I love it. I get my worker placement fix. I think that it makes me think the whole way through the game. And while I've lost the last couple of games, I'm hoping now when we do a repeat play with these people that I can kick some ass.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'm just rubbish at it.
Maybe.
So it's a bit of forward planning as well. There's kind of, I do find myself going, oh, if I do this. Oh, no. If I do this, I mean, I get a little bit of AP because there's numerous ways to score points, and it's just finding the best way. But actually, it doesn't really drag because everyone else is doing the same thing while they're having their turn. But I would highly recommend Darwin's Journey. I'm pleased that it eventually got delivered. I'm not disappointed with it at all. And being a worker placement fan, it is a delight. But it is on the heavier side.
Which is what you like, right? You like that.
Yeah, but is it heavy? The actual game mechanics are actually relatively simple. It's the teach because but then I love teaching games. So that's even more fun teaching this one to people because it's if you get that whole thing across, then you've done a good job.
Excellent.
So that is Darwin's Journey.
Darwin's Journey. So how does it rank in? So Viticulture's been your favorite worker placement. How how does this rank amongst the worker placements in Gareth's world?
I mean, Viti's dropped some recently. I don't know where it is. We did play Viticulture with some friends on Thursday night last week, and we played. I guess
so you have it fresh. You've got
Core
a fresh
Tuscany
comparison.
I like Viticulture for the simplicity,
right?
Because it's relatively simple. It's just,
but you like Darwin for its complexity.
But Darwin for it just feels. It's just that bit where you've got these. So these lenses you can go and build, and when you build this lens, which is another worker placement set, if you build it, you get to do the action without requiring a worker of those seals. Nice. So you're kind of rewarded for developing the board with that action for free. But if you haven't got a worker that can go there later, then you've built it for everybody else to use.
Oh.
But there are objective cards or tokens that let you score them. So, but I like the reward of building this worker placement zone that is, I guess, helping the game develop. It's a nice little touch. So nice. I have thoroughly enjoyed Darwin's. I don't know where it'll be in my. Maybe we should do a top 10 worker placement games.
That would be fun. That would definitely be fun.
And then a bit like we did the Board Game Geek, compare and contrast what your 10 are, my 10 are.
Right.
That's a future episode, people. If anyone wants to hear that, shout it out.
We want to hear.
Prediction what's in my top 3, because I'm not sure Viticulture's up there.
Yeah.
I've got to think about it.
It's hard, right? It's really hard when I think about my top, at least my top 10. Recently, I've seen a few people do their top 50. I'm really interested in how people rank the games in their collection, because beyond the top 10,
I've used that PubMeeple app, but it's like 5 days work because it takes your entire collection. You do that kind of hot or not, in or out. And then, weirdly, Viti came out number 1 in mine when I did it. But I did it during lockdown when I had a lot more time in my hands.
Let me. Can I tell you a quick story? We picked up at the used game sale a used game, very, very cheap, Maharani by Queen Games. It's a tile placement. It's a tile placement. Yeah, it came out like 2006 or 2004. Okay. It's an old Queen Games. Queen Games as a publisher has never failed me except once. All their games are just really good. This one is great. So you're laying down the ceramic tiles of the floor of the Taj Mahal. That's the theme, right? And you're trying to match the color of the tiles together in groupings, but you're placing your worker on the tiles, so you're trying to get them grouped together as well to score points. It plays really well at 2 players. Katie and I played it several times. And then this weekend we got a 4-player in, and it was even better. I'm just looking at it on my shelf while we were talking about rating games. Like, I need to mention it because we played it and it was really good. It was really surprising. Maharani. Maharani.
I'm gonna look it up.
Mosaic Palace is the subtitle of the game. It's really good. That's a good one. It's light. If you look, I mean, Queen games are not usually very heavy, but if you're looking for, after a heavy session of Twilight Imperium, no, that's not right. A warm up before Twilight Imperium.
Yeah,
it's a fun little game. It's fun to play, so it's worth checking out if you can find a copy.
Secondhand sales groups. I like that. I like these little games you throw in.
Right.
Nice.
We got to give love to all the unknown dark horses of the world, right?
Well, that's another episode. I'll tell you another day. I think we need to do a few 10 games before 2015 that people might not have played that aren't in the top 100.
Yeah, I like it.
There's a lot of those out there. So with that, I think, whether it's Darwin's Journey or whether it's ISS Vanguard, that's what's hitting our table. Let us know what's been hitting your table, and we'd love to know more. Thanks for listening, and see you soon.
Thanks, everyone, for listening. Please subscribe, and as always, we love to hear your thoughts and ideas. So make sure to leave those in the comments. And don't forget, you can also chat with us both on Instagram @Meeple to Meeple.